Hello there, everyone. If the title didn't already let you know, tonight's I'm saying a lot, aren't I? Tonight's audio is going to be a little bit different. Instead of doing an improv or a script, I'm going to be narrating a story that I've written in the past. It is about a particular person, yes, and I did write it like in my freshman year of high school, so it has been a while, so don't blame me for any of the terrible word choice or lack of polish. It is what it is, and I really enjoyed this story at the time, and I'm hoping that if at the very least you can enjoy me narrating something. I'm going to try this out because there will be weeks where I can't find a script to do, and I don't really have that inspiration to do an audio, and I have done quite a bit of writing with short stories and whatnot, because that's something that I like to do. So let me know what you think of this thing in the comments. Should I do more? I'm kind of thinking if you guys like this, then doing sort of a Cuddles Boy Narrates sort of series. But, let me know in the comments, and without further ado, let's get started. Top of the World, written by cuddlesboiaudios. The straps of my rucksack press down upon my shoulders. My boots crunch against the soil with every step I take. My eyes take in the beauty of the forest that surrounds me. I breathe in the fresh mountain air that I so dearly missed. It's almost as if Mother Nature has noticed my return and is welcoming me into her open arms. It's nearly as perfect as I remembered. No, scratch that. This time, it's more perfect. All thanks to one significant difference. There's a hand in mine. Her hand. It isn't the most practical thing to do while hiking through rough terrain, but paradoxically, it makes me feel stronger. Well, in reality, it hinders my ability to navigate the terrain. It has placed me in a mentality that overcomes logic. I want to become stronger, faster, more able. Not for myself, no. I want to be better. For her. It's a motivation that seems to be simply unfathomable. But enough with the philosophical nonsense. I should really be talking to her. I'm the one who invited her on this backpacking trip in the first place. Yet, it seems that Mother Nature has grabbed hold of her attention as much as it did mine. I look into her eyes, and she doesn't seem to notice that I'm at her side at all. It's beautiful. She says my name. She asks if I needed anything. I simply reply that I'm okay. I don't want to spoil the moment for her. It was the first time we had said anything to each other since the trailhead. But I didn't mind. It was one of the reasons that I loved her. She could appreciate the beauty of the world outside the concrete jungle as much as I could. Perhaps more. She lets go of my hand for a second to climb up a particularly steep part of the trail. I help her up, and I take a moment to realize how stunning she looks in outdoor gear. While some might have argued that a North Face sweater, cargo pants, and hiking boots make for a particularly normal outfit, I would have to disagree. It was like she could wear anything and still look amazing. Not to say that her current outfit was particularly unattractive or anything. I'd personally rather see her in hiking boots than heels any day of the week. I believe there was a certain beauty behind a woman that could enjoy being a bit rugged. When we reached the top of the steep bit, our faces were unusually close together. We weren't flustered by the fact, but rather quite the opposite. Our lips met with the grace of a ballerina, despite the fact that we were hindered by 30-pound rucksacks. It was as if we were of one mind, that we knew each other so well that even words were rendered useless. As we continued along the path, I couldn't help but notice how good I felt. I was sure that my GPS was lying when it displayed we had gone some 7 miles. Usually, this far into any trail, I'd be feeling the straps of my pack cutting into my shoulders and a dull pain in my feet with every step. Yet, with her hand in mine, pain didn't exist. She says words to me, and I respond accordingly. When we talk, I feel like I'm a god. Because when we talk about things of a higher caliber than what most people would consider typical trail conversation. We were anything but typical. At the current moment, I supported my side of an argument about the practicality of a Mars colonization program. I had been sure she was on my side about the topic, but apparently something she had read had changed her mind. I smiled to myself as she argued about the insane astrophysics behind such a feat. How God could have created a woman so perfect was beyond me. We settle down at our campsite just before the sun begins to set. I really want to watch the sunset with her, so I hastily construct our tent. I clumsily fall into the tent as I trip over one of the stakes. She playfully falls down on top of me. I realize that I don't care if I get to see the sunset or not. I have all the beauty I need, pressed up against my chest. We get up quickly, quite aware that we'd be in quite the bit of trouble if we didn't construct the tent before nightfall. As I finish hammering the last stake in, I can hear our cooking fire crackling. I'm pretty excited, because I know we're having chicken Alfredo for dinner. Honestly, not the most practical thing one can bring for a backpacking trip, but we had decided to go all out. It's our 1-year anniversary, after all. When the noodles finished boiling, she poured the sauce over them and served up 2 healthy portions of pasta in mess kit tins. I compliment her cooking as I guide a forkful of pasta into her mouth. She chews, swallows, and thanks me for the kind words. When we finish, I clean up the mess kits as she washes out the pot. I lie beside her in the grass, staring up at the star-filled sky. I fist pump in my head when I see how cloudless the heavens above us are. It wouldn't be nearly as romantic if the sky hadn't put on such a display. We hold hands silently as we contemplate the mysteries of life, residents of a state of mind few before us have discovered. She whispers into my ear her thoughts on the beauty of the art piece that surrounds us. I wholeheartedly agree. After a good half hour more of stargazing, I move to stand up. But a hand that's not mine pulls me back down, and another goes under my shirt. I turn back towards her, already pretty sure of what she wants. I lay back down upon the grass as she settles herself on top of me and begins to move towards my lips. My hands slide under her sweater to caress her beautiful body. We kiss each other again and again, with no defined start or finish, just unending bliss and the occasional gasp for air. Seamlessly, our tongues start to find their way into each other's mouths. The pleasure that we are experiencing seems to be on a one-way trip skyward. I pull back from the embrace and begin to undo her bra. I hastily fumble with the clip for a few seconds before she gently pulls my hands away to complete the task herself. As I realize that we'd probably be losing more of our garments, I suggest that we go into the tent. She She concurs. When we settle down into the tent, I am on top of her now. I begin to go on a kissing journey across her body, starting at her mouth, moving down her neck, and stopping for a moment at her breasts. Her heavenly moans of joy only encourage me to continue to gently suck her hardened nipples. When she starts to protest that it's too one-sided, I look her in the eyes and tell her I can wait. Her pleasure is always first. She grabs a fistful of the sleeping bag as my hand slides down her panties. My hand rubs her delicate clitoris gently, and I continue to suck on her breasts. In some magical fashion, it seems that we have both become shirtless, and she's about to lose her panties. My fingers slowly creep into her vagina and move in and out. I gradually pick up the pace until her moans match the rhythm of my hand movements. My fingers are sticky with her fluids when I finally pull them out of her pussy. But I'm not finished. My journey continues down her body towards her pussy. My tongue follows the same routine as my fingers, but I swear her moans are twice as loud. When I finish and move back towards her lips, she decides that she has had about enough of my escapade. She moves so that she's on top of me and begins a similar journey down my body. My brain seems to explode with pleasure. And while my moans aren't nearly as beautiful as hers, they were definitely coming out. As she spits onto my right cock, I feel a slight twinge of uselessness in knowing that I won't be able to do much as she takes the wheel. Her tongue moves from my balls to the head of my cock. Her lips move to envelop it, and I begin to feel pleasure at immense levels. And as her head moves up and down my throbbing shaft, the warmth and pure bliss overtake my sanity. All I want is her. As I begin to feel my pleasure peaking, I unceremoniously tell her that I'm gonna come. She doesn't move away from the coming fluids. She accepts them and swallows. Did I mention how amazing she was? I can't think as we French kiss each other over and over. I'm a bit ashamed that we can't go any further due to my religious beliefs. But if and when we do get married, I know it will be worth the wait. She lies down beside me and lazily says, "That was amazing." I tell her that she is a beautiful human being. After we put on just enough clothes to keep us warm for the night, I kiss her goodnight. A few times. A few passionate times. While being in separate sleeping bags makes it hard to spoon, we manage to anyways. As she fatigues further, I let her roll to the side and begin to caress her back. Once I'm sure that she's fast asleep, I settle down into my own sleeping bag. After all the action prior, I don't find it hard to sleep. I wake up to the smell of cooking eggs and bacon. I angrily burst out of the tent, playfully scolding her for not waking me up to help. We cuddle with our tins in our laps as we watch the sunrise. When we finish, I begin to fondle her breasts, and she begins to go along with it. Yet, then she comes to her senses and insists that we need to start to pack up and work our way back up the trailhead. I hate to admit it, but without her dedication to work before play, I'm not sure I'd get anything done around her. The walk back to the car I had borrowed from a friend wasn't too spectacular, but I'm sure my mind was still catching up to my body with everything that had happened. Using every bit of my willpower, I managed to get packed up and into the car without thinking too much about her. Wishing the testosterone buildup would just cease to exist, I look over at her longingly. I knew we'd pleasure each other again sometime, but until then, I just had to be patient. So that's the story. It was a bit NSFW, and if you couldn't, sorry, if you couldn't tell by my voice, I'm a little embarrassed. It has been a long while since since I've recorded something of this nature, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, do the things that someone would enjoy. Don't have to hold your hand. You know how YouTube works. If you think that you would like to see more narration content or maybe more NSFW content, let me know. I'll see what I can do about it. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're doing well. I love making content for you guys. And yeah, thank you very much, and have a good night.